I mean, I guess since it's gonna be a short one, I guess we could, and then since I've already brought it up, I guess we could talk about the movie. Not the usual movie review, but the movie that I was talking about. Yeah. So yeah.
Specifically, the controversy behind it.
Exactly. And so yeah. Saturday night, I went and watched the movie not the Joker, but Joker. And it was a good movie. It was a great, I think it was a great character study. Um, I think they either borrowed or just straight up copied too many beats from the movie Taxi Driver, which a lot of people have been making the comparison to, and I think that is apt. That is an apt comparison. But overall, yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I highly recommend it. Definitely should go. You should definitely go watch it. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but I just wanted to touch upon some of the controversy. Having actually seen the movie, and I honestly don't know what the big hubbub is about.
I think a lot of times it's just people, especially on this weird like woke leftism, where they center in on like a particular outrage day.
Mm-hmm.
This being the flavor of the month, and because like it either doesn't fit the narrative for something, or they think that somebody shoots their mouth off, and then other people start believing it, and they just make shit up and stuff that's not true, and they create all this outrage for something that doesn't really need to be there. And
right, and I think because they are labeling this like this is like incel rage and the rise of the incel and things like that. It's like and and it's just because like this guy who takes care of his mom, his mom who's of ailing health, and who's a little bit weird. Well, a lot of it weird, but initially you can't really tell. Yeah, he's a little off, but just nothing to really worry about. But yeah, they made him out to be like this. Like they made him out to be the Isla Vista shooter, basically.
Yeah, well, and here's the other thing that like kind of pisses me off, and because there's a lot of it's not just like this, but where people think that like, oh, movies and games and whatever, they influence people in a bad way. And certainly if you can decipher between reality and fiction, that's a problem. Maybe you shouldn't be watching movies or playing games, because you can't figure out reality, and you should find help, because you'll need it. You need it. And I know, like, referencing Taxi Driver, that was a movie where a complete insane person who had a hard time deciphering between reality and fiction, cited that this movie was, his motivation for shooting Ronald Reagan to try to impress Jodie Foster. And
right, yeah.
But yeah, like all the violence, like it's like, oh, it's the video games, it's the movies, and people can't we can't have this stuff because people are gonna be influenced in a bad way. It's like,
right. I mean, it's an old story. I mean, it goes back all. I mean, contemporarily, goes back to like Elvis Presley.
Oh yeah,
You know,
goddamn those.
yeah. I mean, that's why when he made that debut on Ed Sullivan, they only shot him from like the chest up because of
Yeah,
all the gyrating hip, all his gyrations, and they were worried that it was going to inspire lustful thoughts in the young people. But yeah, this movie. I mean, the idea that that this movie was exceptionally violent. I can honestly say that there was maybe three extraordinarily violent scenes.
mm.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe four, three to four exceptionally violent scenes. Um, but you didn't have the same kind of moral panic or concern when John Wick came out, and there's like, and a lot of bodies dropped in that movie. Gallons of fake blood was used in the making of those movies. But no one was concerned that someone was gonna commit a John Wick style shooting.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's one of those things too, where it's like it's and even like the outrage or the concern. I get people. No, they're not. They're not. It's all fake. Like they don't
Mm-hmm.
actually believe that. It's just a way to find a way to control people and to like stop them from doing things that they enjoy, being successful,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. It's to promote fear, that just to keep people in control. That's what it is.
Right, and also I think it was because the director Todd Phillips, and initially I was a little annoyed by him because some of the initial takes that he had, um, but I'm coming around to like respecting the dude because I mean, for those of you unaware, Todd Phillips, he was the guy that was behind Hangover,
Yeah,
and Old
the first
School
one being pretty funny.
and Old School.
Oh,
Um,
that he did. I didn't know he did old school.
Yeah, he did, and those are comedy classics. The
Yeah,
first Hangover, not the subsequent films. But
right.
yeah, the first Hangover and Old School, those are comedy classics, right? Um, and he said like, oh, I've stopped doing comedy because everyone, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said that he stopped doing comedies because everyone's now like such a sensitive ass bitch.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's like they say, yeah, I mean, what he really said was to the effect of like, yeah, you can't make comedies anymore because someone is always gonna, find, what is it? Someone is not gonna find it funny, or they think that you're attacking people, or it's just basically not the right environment to try and do comedy these days. Is what he's
Yeah,
ultimately trying to
and
say.
because I was reading like his like interview on that, so I was like, the guy's like, I'm fed up with these people. I'm just gonna. That's why I kind of shifted over to doing more dark movies, because I'm just comedy's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a way too, like why he switched over to a dark, because he's probably a man who loves comedy and trying to make people laugh and making things that are enjoyable for people.
Mm-hmm.
But because that's essentially in this day and age is dead, so something that he loved has been killed, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of shifted him into kind of giving us more of these psychological, dark type of films.
Right, and I think yeah, it's all over that movie, especially because um, the character that Robert De Niro plays, the late night talk show host, it's kind of telling a contemporary story of how there's like the approved comedians, the ones who are able to speak on such things, and yeah, Robert De Niro's character does kind of play like this kind of authority figure because he kind of lambasts the Joker character for his attempts at comedy.
Right.
And so that parallels to our society right now where you have people who say like, oh, you can't make fun of this group of people, you can't make fun of this, you can't make fun of that. What is it? Yeah, only like only approved people can do comedy, which is sometimes not even comedy. This butch looking short hair.
Self-deprecation is self-humiliation.
Right, yeah, like it's like yeah, this butch looking short haired lesbian chick who's says that self deprecation is what is it? Self
It's self
deprecation is like self mutilation or something like that.
humiliation. It's like it's essentially like, oh, you're talking down about yourself, and it's all about this like positive self-esteem. It's like, listen, like if you don't want to do comedy anymore, that's fine, but don't stand up and philosophize to me and like air out all your laundry in this quote unquote comedy special. Like it's just
I
it's
know.
like
I
how
mean, yeah, it's because what they don't understand is comedy is a release valve for for the tension and the stress that builds up in societies. So and someone has to come out and say it, and once that is said, and everyone could laugh at it. It no longer becomes a point of contention, a sore spot, what have you. I mean, if I wasn't able to be self-deprecating and make fun of my hands, I would have blown my brains out a long time ago.
I would have. Yeah, I would have 13 reasons why is my 13 reasons why quite a while ago if that was
Yeah,
the
I
case.
mean,
But
I crack jokes. I crack jokes about I self-deprecate all the time. And I go like one example. I go to when I go to like clothing stores or sporting goods stores and I see gloves. I take one and I go to the clerk and I go, oh, excuse me, can you help me? I can't seem to find my size.
that's just
Right? And so the first thing, the clerk kind of gets like this weird, like uncomfortable look on their faces, and it's like, just relax, buddy. I'm just doing a bit. And then they start laughing, and we're both laughing, and it's no longer a thing. It's no longer this thing that's hanging in the air.
well, and that's actually like when we first met. I was kind of obviously like I noticed that your hands were different, but I wasn't like gonna bring anything up. But like once I heard you like kind of making fun of yourself about it, I was like, all right, this guy is cool. We can be friends.
Yeah, it's like what if I, how awful would it have been if I was like such a downer about it and just and like acted like really insecure and just like you making fun of me and got into your face and was like it's like how dare you how absolutely dare you like and we probably this show wouldn't exist.
Just like the was it that short man that was went off of all these women that are supposedly making fun of him or something.
Right, yeah. It's like, bro, you're short. All right, your knee. You're just taller than a what is it, Oompa Loompa. All right, get over it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, and like when he said like, oh, like with these women, they tell me I should, they ask me like, how am I even alive? And it's like, well, maybe they were. What if they were just curious?
It's like
What if they maybe they're wondering why the Oompa Loompa monster hadn't come and gobbled you up.
why aren't you working in some chocolate factory?
I know. Why aren't you working at some crazy man's chocolate factory right now? But but also like
By
if
the way,
we are to take him seriously, and like women have said that to him, what did he say to them to elicit that response?
exactly, because I mean, outside of like, yeah, there are certainly, assholes out there that'll just kind of shoot off at the mouth without really thinking. Sure. But I guarantee that the majority of that stuff was brought on for some reason where it's like they were fed up with, this guy's attitude, and I think it
Exactly.
was more often he was the jackass.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like all this like, quote unquote moral outrage on all this stuff, it's all horseshit. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I mean, like this whole backlash against this Joker movie is just because Todd Phillips has gone off reservation, and he's going against the narrative, and so that's why right now, despite having a extremely high audience score, the critic rating is like I think like 33%.
That's a lot higher than it was, a couple of weeks ago at least.
Right? Yeah. But I mean, again, it's just utter hypocrisy.
Well, it was funny how I saw a really funny tweet about this where it's like, everyone's up in arms about like the Joker and stuff, but just like a few years ago, the Academy Award winner was some woman who fucked a fish.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I didn't like that movie. I watched The Shape of Water, and I was like, this woman is fucking a fish. Yeah, just to put a bow on it. Yeah, the Joker movie was great. Definitely would recommend it. Don't know what the whole I don't know what the whole hubbub was about. Um, and I think it was it John Wayne Gacy? Who was the one that dressed like a clown? That was John Wayne Gacy, right?
Yeah, it was John Wayne Gacy where he was kidnapping kids and like chopping them up and stuffing them in his basement. Yeah, that was John Wayne Gacy.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, like an interview, he said, he was saying like, yeah, it's like in one of like the last interviews that he gave is like they asked him like, oh, did you watch like violence porn and things like that, and did it have contributory or was it contributory to your life as a serial killer? And he set them straight. He was like straight up, yes, I did watch violence porn, but no, it had no effect on me because killing those kids.
Yeah, it's like he was just evil. It's like
It's pure evil. Because I think that's what ultimately it comes down to. Like the left doesn't recognize that there is evil. They just like kind of like relativize everything. It's like, oh, well, this person isn't as bad as this person, or this ideology isn't as bad as that ideology. So there's no like, there is no black and white for them.
Yeah, I mean it's their whole worldview is just it's skewed.
Mm-hmm. So that's why they can't understand how a work of art is no more effective than than anything else. Because then if you if we concede the point that depictions of violence or explicit lyrics have an effect or a deleterious effect on an individual, then the opposite has to be true as well.
Right.
Beautiful depictions of art or uplifting lyrics can bring people out of dark places or inspire people to do good things. It has to be able to work the other way around then too.